New deck I got. Here you can see if anybody's interested. The side information. And here's the SKU on it, the SKU, and some info about how much. I don't know if I actually paid this much or a little less via the website that I ordered it from. Okay, so it comes in this nice little. I thought this was kind of nice, and it has this full book. Okay, so a nice illustrated book here. Gives you some card spreads at the beginning. It goes over the description of each card. Okay, I thought today I would just go through each card and show it to you so you can see what they look like. All right. What was this here? Download your free reading cards app. Okay, I don't know what this is that comes with it. If you get some free decks with it, or I don't know what that is. I haven't tried this yet. So just FYI. Okay. So a pretty nice little box, honestly, for your cards. I kind of hate that when they come in those flimsy things, and then for storage. I kind of like storing my cards inside the box that they came in. Personally, that's just a personal preference. Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and get started and show you from A to Z here, right? From A to Zinc. Remember vitamin A and carrots, y'all. Okay, so the first card, Mother Earth. Okay, and you can see here it has the chakra noted at the beginning. Okay, so I believe these are for the root chakra here, this Mother Earth. Okay. And we have a rebirth with this nice butterfly on it. Yes. Nurturing the lioness with her cub. Grounding, number 4. This nice, beautiful tree. Is this supposed to be like a mangrove tree? I kind of like seeing the some of those big oak trees we have in the United States down south. Kind of their roots come up and out like this. Kind of neat. Kind of neat, y'all. You know what I mean? Okay. Moving on to the sacral. Number 5, family, right? Somebody is like, oh, you look less like your brother or your sister. And you're like, gee, thanks, right? And be like, we don't act alike, though. Okay. Balance, yin yang, very nice. Yes, you would love to have your sacral balanced, I would think. Yes, yes. Holistic health, right? We often see the symbol here on medical practitioners. Wear the symbol, right? But remember prevention, right? What's that little pamphlet magazine they called Prevention, right? Do they still make that magazine? So holistic health, focusing on, you could be like, oh, my finger hurts. Well, okay. Well, if you remove yourself from the door frame that you're stuck in, then maybe, right, your finger is gonna not be stuck. Do you know what I'm saying? You have to look at the whole view sometimes, okay, to understand the problem. Abundance, number 8, featuring Ganesh here, okay. All right, moving on to the solar plexus, I believe. This one has some different some different stuff. So I'm just going to keep going since I don't know everything about this deck yet. Okay. Flexibility, number 9. As you can see here, there is more than 7. All right. So this deck contains some cards for chakras outside the standard 7 card. Okay. Number 10, creativity here. All right. Unlock your inner imaginative eye. It's kind of interesting that this is in your solar plexus. I mean, so yeah, they say creativity comes from your solar plexus, from your gut, right? But you often are connecting that, right, with your physical expression, be it your throat, your third eye, using your limbs, using your appendages to actually create that drawing the lines. Okay. Did any of you have a little etch a sketch when you were a kid? You know what I mean? It was a way to draw without, going through all the paper and everything else, right? Number 11, inspiration. That's a very nice, beautiful photo-esque portrait of the sun. So yeah, think about nature when you're looking for some inspiration. 12 relationships. Often in nature, we see harmonious things. Okay. So let that inspire you as well. All right, moving into another chakra area on this card deck here. Personal power. Okay, number 13. You ever see that movie Dances with Wolves? Stands with a fist. That's what this reminds me of. Also reminding me of famously, I believe it was in the 1968 Olympics, the track and field athletes that raised their fist in protest, okay, because they did not want to be owned by anyone else's ideas except their own. Okay, so personal power. Okay. All righty, moving on to inner strength, number 14. Number 14 also being a doorway. Okay, so yeah. Sometimes be like, oh my God, I can't believe that happened to you. Oh my God, I can't believe that happened to you. Right. And it's like, okay, well, yeah, there might be some cracks on the outside, but what's on the inside? Right? What's that other commercial? Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. Okay. Like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? Trust me, if they were put in that position, they would figure out something to do as well. Would it be the same thing that you figured out what to do? Not necessarily, but they would have done something. They wouldn't have just stood there in the middle of the fucking road. Okay. Anyway, um, self mastery here, number 15. Okay. So again here it's going through the picture of the main chakras, okay, on this card, starting with the root chakra, okay, then the sacral and the solar plexus and your heart chakra, throat chakra, as I was speaking on earlier, okay, and your third eye, right, using your imagination. Then you have your crown chakra up here protecting you. It's kind of like the where you get your universal protection. Okay. So be very aware of who you're letting fill your little head with ideas and things when you might need to be filling it with your own ideas and things, right? Just because this works for somebody and so and whatnot and who's it and where. Okay. You'd be like, well, that's great for them. Um, I maybe live in a different reality than they do. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I'm here on YouTube right now, but not everybody is a million zillionaire off of content creation, right? Get a clue. Don't live in a fantasy land. Okay. It's okay to dream, but have a practical plan. Haven't you seen that on a tarot card before? I know. It's such earth-shattering advice. Okay. So, self-mastery, having control when you need it, right? And also mastering what you're here to do, right? What is your divine purpose? Okay. Determination, don't give up. Number 16, like these little trout swimming upstream, or the salmon, right? The salmon swim upstream. I don't know. Do trout swim upstream? Maybe they don't. Salmon swimming upstream. Gee. Anyway, oh, sorry. I was reading something in this chat here that popped up. I'm like, what the heck is that? Must be a new feature here on YouTube. Owned by Google, owned by Alphabet, right? Know who you're working for, folks. Inner child, number 17. Think back when you were only 17, right? The whole world ahead of you type thing. There's also that very famous Stevie Nicks song, Edge of 17. Okay. So if you're having trouble thinking about like, well, I would like to fill my own head with nice things and ideas. Okay, well, think about maybe when you were 17. If you've forgotten, be like, well, what would you have thought about back then? What you think is cool, right? You ever see that movie? It has Bruce Willis in it and the little kid, and then but it's like the little kid is realizing Bruce Willis is him as an adult, and He's like, I don't even have a dog. He's like, I turned into a loser. You know what I mean? But Bruce Willis's character so buttoned up, right? So, yeah, we go through things, right? We can let it change us in a positive way and a negative way. We can let it transform us into the people that we were meant to be, masters of our own reality, determined to win. Okay. Determined to win for this one. What would you go back and tell your 17-year-old self that you didn't know back then, huh? Okay. How about you're beautiful? How about you're loved? How about you're going to be a success? Those are very powerful messages, aren't they? If they weren't, there wouldn't be so many people saying, oh, well, you can't do that. Or, how are you going to do that? Right? Trust me, they would figure out a way. Again, it might not be the way that you do it, but when placed into that scenario, into that situation, they're going to figure out a way just as you did, right? And now that you have that knowledge, you can pass that knowledge on in a non-judgmental way, in a loving kind of way. All right? Your kinder, gentler self, right? That didn't have to go through maybe as many hard knocks, right? But let's face facts, a lot of us, our childhoods, maybe not so idyllic as other people have imagined it to be. Am I right? Am I right? Am I right? Oh my God, right? Because life has its ups and downs, right? So again, don't get involved in the suffering Olympics. Okay, just as I don't like to get involved in the beauty Olympics or the sexual Olympics for that matter. Okay. Um, you know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, it's like, who are you trying to compete with? Who are you doing this for? Who should you be doing it for? Exactly. All right. And I'm getting the scene again. So this is confirmation because I was thinking about this earlier on this reading timeline. The scene in the movie The Graduate when they're trying to get her to marry this guy, marry her off. And the mother of the bride is saying, "It's too late." And she looks at her and she says, "Not for me, it isn't." Okay. So the woman in that movie, she had become so hard that she wasn't there to want to try and pass on the knowledge, right? She was, you know what I mean? It was not something that she was able to do. But the main character in the movie, right? She was like, Mm, I'm going to take a chance on myself, right? Okay. Love, number 18, right? When you're 18, right? You ever hear that? When you're 18. Okay. This is an 18 and over channel, FYI. But anyway. 19, forgiveness. Okay. Remember, forgiveness is for us for healing our hearts. All right. Play. Yes. Allow yourself to play. Yeah. Don't get caught up in the suffering loop. Okay. So that means you get to forgive other people and then you get to move on and have a good old time. I know. Shocking, right? Shocking. Communication. 21. Is this not reminding anybody of Gemini here? Okay. But I'm imagining this is really more related to throat chakra, okay? And it's yeah, it might start in the mind, right? And then it has to travel. It has to travel to the mouth. You ever be in those rooms with some of your family members or friends or coworkers, and it's just like their mouths are going and it's just no shutting them up. And then you realize, you might even look around the table and you realize, like, okay, we're not getting that word in. So some of that communication has already taken place. It just was not verbalized. Some people don't understand that. Some people think if you're not verbalizing everything, then there's nothing going on up here, and that is a complete fallacy. Sometimes it's when we have peace and quiet away from those busy, crowded spaces, right? That's why a lot of people like to speak through their artwork. Life purpose, one step at a time. Number 22. Yeah. So after you hit 21, you think, oh my God, now I've done everything I need to do, right? And then it's like 22 hits, right? Now it's like, now what? Right? Young adulthood, we start walking into our life purpose, right? Um, don't get frustrated if you don't figure it out right away. It's a lifelong journey. What your job is when you're 18 to 22 years old, okay? Maybe when you're 18 to 22, you're working in the bar industry. Maybe you're bar backing and you become the door person, and maybe you hop behind the bar and want to do bartending. You know, there's all sorts of things you can do, right? And then maybe one day you're like, you know what? I've had enough of this noise and this loudness. I'm gonna go do something else for a while. Okay. So for you, you're taking a next step. All right. And building upon your experience, potentially, right? Hopefully. So it looks like you're ascending, but it's almost like really you're just kind of walking forward, you know? Because people think when you move on, it's like, oh, when are you better than me? Oh, when are you better? No, I'm just moving on. That's just what people do. So if you are ever in one of those situations where you are in a work environment where a boss does not want you to move on, you better ask yourself why. You better ask yourself why they want to hold you back from your life purpose. What right do they have? None. Tell them to fuck off. Pardon me while I take a sip. Isn't that like required after you take a sip? So refreshing, right? Yes, walking in our life purpose. It's so refreshing, isn't it? Because you're doing something for yourself. It ain't about the other guy. The truth. Number 23. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. The truth cannot be held. It just is. That's why folks want to try and manipulate the truth, right? They want to color the truth. Okay. I mean, for instance, the truth is, and I really wasn't aware of this, that there's a police departments now have like a budget for, for wrongdoing stuff, I guess. And, it's just a big pool of money just sitting there waiting to be collected by somebody. Somebody possibly that wants to manipulate the truth. Just an observation. You gotta start asking yourself, what do people have to gain, right? And sometimes they don't want you to know that truth. Okay. So if they don't want to talk about that, that's fine. But that doesn't mean you have to do business with them. That doesn't mean you have to sign a contract with them. That doesn't mean you have to believe a word that comes out of their mouth. I mean, look at all those conservatorships in Hollywood, like the Britney Spears thing, the Amanda Bynes thing. I mean, Amanda Bynes is another one. I already posted about Britney. I finally watched her documentary on Netflix, and oh my gosh, it's infuriating. It's infuriating that this day and age that entertainers are still treated so poorly. It's really gross, to be honest. But yeah, and then, Amanda Bynes is like, I totally get, her. I mean, look at all the movies she made and all the fun stuff she did, and then it's like, God damn, the girl wants to take a break, and then somebody is like, no, we're gonna place you in a conservatorship, even though you're an adult, right? So that you continue to work for us and make us rich while you have nothing. That's the truth that they don't want. That's the truth. Come on now. I saw that girl coming out of some Jamba Juice thing, sipping on. You think she gives a fuck that she's not in some act? She already announced. She already had announced that she was retiring. That's why they probably put her under the conservatorship. Because they're like, oh God, the money's gonna run out. That's what I'm saying. There's no holding on to the truth. The truth just is. And grown folks understand this, but slime balls want you to believe a different version of the truth. Anyway, moving on. Listening, yes. Listening involves more than speaking. Using our intuition. Yeah. Using what we already know. Listening to our bodies, right? What they say, heart disease is the silent killer. Often a man that gets shooting pain down his arm, they'll go to the emergency room, right? And then find out, oh, you've had a mild heart attack. Women who endure pain much differently than men. Do they listen to their bodies all the time? And when we do go to the doctor, what does the doctor say? Do they listen? Make sure you find the right doctor. Maybe you need a second opinion. Personally, I found a practitioner that they do for medical weed, and they do all the regular stuff too, like measure my blood pressure and take my cholesterol measurements and blah blah blah, right? They also listened when I told them I was having trouble with some of these medications that some doctors were recommending that weren't necessarily my doctor. And then they gave me this whole big list of things that interact with my body chemistry. They did like a whole test, and I thought, gee, um, any of these other doctors that wanted to experiment on their patients could have done this years ago, but they don't like to listen to their patients. So I had to get out of that hospital system. Do you know what I mean? I had to get away from their philosophy of treating patients. Go to somebody who was more into holistic health, as I mentioned before. Okay. Because let me tell you, there's people that would kill to have my cholesterol numbers. Okay. I was a 46-year-old bitch. You better believe it. Buster. And I don't eat kale. I have tried it though. I won't lie. You know, I gave kale a go. It wasn't really for me. Swiss chard, I'm very similar on that. I'll just stick to regular old spinach or something. Okay. Clarity 25. You can see these nice crystals on here. So maybe if you have some crystals, they help you provide some clarity, some grounding. Some people go out and collect these things, right? They find these crystals inside of geodes, okay, for retail sale. But oh, it's after we actually buy them and we start talking about our crystals online. Oh my God, they're so weird and crazy. Are we, or are y'all just not recognizing the natural patterns of beauty that occur in nature? 25. When you're 25, you can rent a car because they say your brain is actually developed. Okay. So things that happen in the first quarter of your life, think about that. You still were developing your brain to make good decisions. Okay. So let that be some clarity for you if for some reason there's something that you want to be stuck on in the past. Dreams, number 26. It's very nice and peaceful. That's how I would like my dreams to be. Yes. Sometimes we dream about people, conversations, places. It's also nice to keep a dream journal. Okay. Um, I've had the experience, you know, I've done lots and lots of dream analysis. Especially when I was younger, when I was more of an active dreamer. As I've been older, I don't dream the same way as I used to. Okay. Um, but one thing I noticed when I was trying to actively track my dreams is, you know, I would wake up like in the middle of the night or in the morning and be like, oh my God, what a crazy dream. And then, you know, I wouldn't write it down. I'll be like, oh, I'll remember that. And then I go back to sleep and then I've totally forgot. So keep a little pad and paper by the bed, right? And you can, you know, jot it down, and then, you know, because it might not make really any sense to you right then, but you know, maybe in the afternoon or something, you can go back and look at it and be like, oh, okay. Maybe you can look up some symbolism or think about what you were feeling during the dream and start to analyze it. Okay. Psychic development. Okay, so paying attention to your dreams might be part of your psychic development. I had once had a relative tell me that they never, ever remembered their dreams, and I thought that was very strange. But, you know, hey, maybe that's just them, right? That doesn't mean you are going to be the same as them. You may share blood, you don't share a brain. You know, maybe one of you grew up in a completely different country than the other. You don't think you're going to have different outcomes? You know, I think people get a little too stuck on, oh, well, so and so did this and so did that and blah blah blah. It's like, well, what are you developing in there? Because you are free to choose. You are free to choose your destiny. Some people think that destiny is, predestined. Like, oh, it doesn't matter what I do. Well, it kind of does. Now, I'm just going to tell you, I don't think you have to be psychic to figure that out. So, if you're not sure, again, try visualization. Okay, that's using your third eye, using your imagination. Okay, maybe you're not the best artist or whatever, but maybe you can kind of sketch out what you're seeing in your mind. Okay, and maybe if you're not sure, you could say, well, you could like write the word red and write the word, like write the colors. You don't necessarily have to paint it out, but you can just kind of describe it out on paper. Okay. So visualization. Okay. Spiritual awakening number 29. So I believe we're getting into the crown chakra here. Okay. Sometimes that spiritual awakening hits us like a ton of bricks. Okay. And it is kind of like, oh, literally that light bulb going off. Okay. Number 30 here, it says, I am. Okay. The presence of I am, the presence of being. That's why I kind of like having those assigned seats at concerts. So people can't come and try and take your seat. Be like, excuse me, I am sitting here right now. Right? Go get your own. Here's a nice lotus opening here with peace and light flowing out of it. Number 31. This is very reminiscent of something I would think I would see during a Diwali celebration. So if that's relevant for you right now, happy Diwali. Okay. I'm not sure if Diwali is technically over now by now or not. I think it can go on for like at least 5 days or so. Anyway, yeah. So think about the peace that light can bring. When you bring light to a situation, whether it is the truth, whether it is lightheartedness, whether it is love, okay? Bringing light and peace to somebody, not bringing doom and darkness and despair, right? Okay. Number 32, meditation. Okay. Good old meditation. I think the Indians know a little bit about that. They've had yogis over in India since like the beginning of time, right? Right. I believe the Buddha himself kind of got into yogiism, right? So, using some of those principles, meditation may be very beneficial for you, especially in your crown chakra, keeping yourself centered and balanced throughout the day. All right. Moving on now, number 33, angels and masters. 33 being a very highly spiritual number. Okay. So mastering yourself again, but not alone, with the help of your angels and other guides who may have been assigned to you. These could be ancestors. These could be people that you have looked up to over time. Maybe there's a particular author that you admire, that is long, like Jane Austen or something like that. Okay. Or Emily Dickinson. Okay. You're like, oh, I would love to be able to master the English language as well as Emily Dickinson. All right. Well, when you say things like that, your angels, they hear those things. They hear that's like a prayer. For those of you that aren't really familiar with prayer, that's like saying a prayer. That's kind of what praying is. Okay. And I grew up in a religion where we recited specific prayers. Okay. You can go off script and make your own prayer. It is allowed. That's why they say, go into your room and pray. Because God grants those prayers as well as the ones that are spoken out loud. God is always listening. And oftentimes through our angels and masters, right? That's why God created them to be angels and masters in the first place. Number 34, universal light. Very celestial type thing going on here. Okay. 35, soul healing. Okay. Doing that inner work, getting that inner glow. Okay. Getting that soul glow going on, right? You're allowed to heal. Did you know that? You are allowed to heal. That's part of choosing your destiny. That's part of choosing who you want to be. Wouldn't you like to meet the healed version of you? Whoa, yeah, pretty cool, pretty awesome. Divine wisdom number 36. So, right, when in doubt, look up in the good book. Okay. For some of you, that good book may be the Bible. For some of you, that good book might be the Torah. For some of you, that good book might be a Jane Austen novel. Okay. Can we not learn from those who have come before us? If you think you're so smart that you're not going to learn anything out of that, then, I don't know why you're even watching this channel, right? Um, you know, but being divinely guided and listening, and some of this could be things that you've noted over the years, right? Well, mom did always say that, or dad always did say such and such, or brother so and so did always say that, and here we are, and here it's happening again, right? You know what I mean? It's like, you don't have to give your kid fluoride, but for some reason, decades and over a century of dental health have told us that fluoride treatments prevent cavities. So, you can choose to use that wisdom, or you can throw it out the window as if you're the first scientist ever to be born. The end. I hope you guys enjoyed this non-traditional unboxing video of the chakra reading cards here. Says ancient wisdom to balance and heal. I like that message. I think that it really does come across in this deck. I'll be excited to use it some more in the future. Okay. And especially if I am doing a private reading with you, you can of course request this deck and we can use it, okay? But, you know, this is not something that only I can get. You know what I mean? Like anybody can go out and order this thing, okay? You know, don't be fooled into believing that, you know, only an intuitive or only a psychic or only a tarot reader can possibly understand. Really? Do you know how to read? Do you know how to read? That's why I don't understand when they push so hard on the young ladies becoming housewives before they're even graduated high school. It's like the ladies need to learn to read and do the math so they can figure out the recipes, you know. People be like, "Well, do you know how to make this?" It's like, "Well, you got a recipe I can fucking read." Obviously, you can't because you're giving it to me, you fucko. Like, really? Mysteries of the universe solved. All right. That's all I got for you guys tonight. Please do enjoy this again. Go out and get you one if it's something that you're into. I think this is a pretty nice deck myself. And like I said, where was the price listed on it here? Somewhere, somewhere. Beep, 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 beep. Where was it? Did you guys not see that earlier? I mean, did it not? Did it not? Oh, it's in really little print down here. Okay. So in the UK, it was under 20 pounds, and in the US, it was under 25 American dollars retail. Okay. I don't think I paid that for this on the website that I ordered it from. So, okay. That's in your budget. Hey, go check it out. If not, you know, just come back to the channel sometime and get another freebie. Why not? Remember, all my content on YouTube is free. The only thing it is costing you is your time and attention. And if you choose not to have a subscription to YouTube, then you would be required to watch through the ads to get through to the end of my videos. Um, but that is really the only way that you're paying anything, right? To enjoy my channel, because I do not limit anybody from watching any of these videos as long as they are here in kind and with good intent. All right. So until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye bye.